The first week of our training camp ended in an electrifying way and revealed that the 2026 season of the Washington Commanders is going to be very, very different from what everyone imagined. Radical changes happened behind the scenes to finally put our starting quarterback in the perfect position to achieve success, and the impact of this on the field is already huge. However, while the offense tries to fit together, tension has taken over the coaching staff due to a critical competition that remains completely open. No one has managed to solidify in this role. The uncertainty is total after an entire week of training, and this indecision is leaving everyone on edge. And hold on to that anxiety, because things heated up even more in the main roster. The intensity of the practices brutally highlighted who the big winners and losers are so far. We had players elevating their games spectacularly and securing spots, while important names entered a dangerous spiral and are at real risk of watching their opportunities go down the drain. And to top it all off, the real ticking time bomb exploded. An entire position of our offense collapsed and is facing a worrying crisis that could compromise absolutely everything being planned for this year. But first, leave your like on the video. It's just a click, and it helps me a lot. Washington completed 6 preseason practices this summer, enough time to observe significant changes. To be featured in this analysis, a player needs to have gained or lost opportunities, confidence, clarity of role, or influence over the week. This week, 4 players improved their position, while 3 players, situations, or competitions finished the first period in a worse state. Sonny Styles is a physical phenomenon, and most knew that his transition to professional football would happen as quickly as his speed. Others needed visual proof. It turns out both groups just had to wait for the team to put on the gear to instantly see the intensity Styles brings to the field. His performance against the running game showed how the additional physical contact made his size, reach, and physique relevant for evaluation. When the training period began, Jackery Kroski-Merritt already had a guaranteed spot among the running backs for 2026, but the total scope of that role was something no one could predict for sure. Coach Dan Quinn openly challenged him to take the next step and become a starting running back in all game situations. He responded by gaining several pounds of muscle mass, which was evident in last week's practice. His ability to run through contact and reach the second level of the defense impressed observers. The most important development for Kroski-Merritt is his continuous improvement in pass receiving. He is trying to accept Quinn's challenge and proved he is not a one-dimensional player. When other top-tier running backs are signed, he won't be in the background. Luke McCaffrey came to training camp with the idea that the second receiver position was completely open. And that's exactly what he did. He played as if he were trying to earn that position from day one. His case is based on several productive practices, rather than a single isolated reception. McCaffrey used the first week to gain more influence and solidify his position to receive more opportunities on offense. Although the signing of Stefon Diggs practically ended his chances of being the second receiver, his case for the third receiver position is strong. Almost everyone knew that Odafe Oweh would attract attention as soon as training camp started. The team expects a lot from him this season, and his first 6 practices wreaked havoc all around. The defensive system programmed him for an aggressive approach. The first week only reinforced the belief that his skill set fits what Washington is looking for in its revamped defensive line. The center position was already a question mark on the offensive line, even after the team announced its intention to move Nick Allegretti from guard to center. The problem is how Tyler Biadasz was released without a concrete plan B. Now, the team is using Allegretti as center while Julian Good-Jones is the primary backup. Additionally, the team has rookie Matt Gulbin and signed Trey Hill a few days ago. Has anyone noticed a pattern? They are all former guards improvising in the position. With Allegretti's absence, the group of centers is struggling to find a solution. John Bates arrived at training camp with perhaps one of the best opportunities to demonstrate how his blocking ability could fit into the new offensive scheme. The thigh injury that is bothering him is expected to keep him out for several weeks from important practices. This leaves room for his competitors to recover while he is sidelined. Although Bates has not lost his spot on the roster, he missed an important opportunity to expand his role in the offense. The competition for the kicker position began the training period with no significant difference between the 2 candidates. Jake Moody and Drew Stevens finished the minicamp with perfect performance and were tied before the long break. The first practice session showed they were in the same situation. These results left training camp without any sign of a clear early leader. Moody was the first to gain some advantage at the beginning of August, finishing 9 for 9. Stevens converted 7 of 9, but still made all 3 longest attempts during the main period. Neither player gained ground as both made kicks from varying distances. On Tuesday, the competition took a different turn when Moody missed 3 kicks and Stevens returned to perfect performance. For Stevens, his 1-kick advantage is enough to say he has the edge for now. Washington will consider several factors beyond consistency, including range and execution time. At this moment, the competition is wide open, with Moody's professional experience and his nearly flawless training start. The preseason will be the true test, with real pressure on the line of scrimmage and consequences tied to each attempt. Stevens' perfect day may have changed the rankings, but with such a small margin, this competition will likely extend into the preseason. Following a disappointing season of 5 wins and 12 losses, the Washington Commanders completely overhauled their defense and coaching staff. Dan Quinn returns to lead the team, but will be joined by David Blau, promoted to offensive coordinator, and Durante Jones, who comes from the Minnesota Vikings, to be responsible for the defensive plays. Both units need to improve significantly starting in 2025. The offense managed only 20.9 points per game and 318.8 yards per game. The defense allowed 26.5 points and 384.3 yards per game. Although part of the blame can be attributed to quarterback Jayden Daniels' injury after just 7 games, the team had a record of 2-5 with him as the starter. There were other issues besides that. Jayden Daniels will be back and fully healthy, which is the most important piece of the puzzle, but he isn't the only key offensive player who missed games due to injury last season. Terry McLaurin missed 7 games due to a thigh injury. He is ready to play in 2026 and joins newly signed Stefon Diggs, who could be the best signing of the offseason. Diggs is playing on a 1-year contract worth $12 million. He was targeted 102 times in New England last season, catching 85 passes for 1,013 yards. The Commanders are signing him at a significant discount. Over the last 3 seasons, when Diggs is the target, his quarterback has an excellent rating. When McLaurin is the target, the quarterback has a rating of 105.4. Undoubtedly, Daniels must be thrilled to have these 2 players on the roster. The big question that remains is the running back position. Jack Krosky Merritt is back after carrying the ball 175 times for 805 yards last season. The team signed Rachaad White from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had 132 carries for 500 yards. The 2 players combined for 12 starts in 2025, and at least one of them needs to step up and be a real threat. Daniels threw only 14.9% of his passes on play-action plays last season. Without a threat in the running game, opposing teams can fully focus on covering him closely. Bobby Wagner, the leading tackler of the 2025 class, is no longer on the roster. Von Miller, the sack leader, is gone as well. This doesn't mean much, though, because the team invested in the defense during free agency and with their top draft pick. Odafe Oweh comes in from the Los Angeles Chargers after accumulating 7.5 sacks in 12 games. Clavon Chaisson brings his 7.5 sacks and 23 pressures to the team. The team also signed linebacker Leo Chenal, coming from the Kansas City Chiefs. The former player will turn 26 this year and had 58 tackles last season. The biggest signing, however, is 7th overall pick Sonny Styles from Ohio State. The former Buckeye was coveted by division rival Dallas Cowboys, but they never had a chance to sign him. Styles had impressive measurements at the Combine and ran the 40-yard dash in a competitive time. Last season in Columbus, he made 82 tackles and appeared in all of the defensive highlights. He could be the Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2026. The secondary leaves a lot to be desired. The Commanders signed Nick Cross to play safety and Amik Robertson for the cornerback position. But none of their secondary players stood out against the pass. Robertson allowed 67.3% of passes to be completed last season. The other starters, Trey Amos and Mike Sainristil, didn't fare much better. The new defensive coordinator was the defensive backs coach for the Vikings, so maybe Washington just needs some more in-depth coaching. On the other hand, the defense is young and athletic, and even if they need a year to develop, they have time. The Commanders have the 16th most challenging schedule, with their opponents having a win rate of 50.2% last season. The NFC East is no joke, with significant changes across several rival teams. Anything can happen in the NFL, but unless something unexpected occurs, it's quite likely this team finishes with a competitive record. So, fan, after discovering who the big winners and losers were in the first week of training camp, understanding how the kicker position battle remains completely undefined, and knowing that the Commanders made radical changes that might finally put Jayden Daniels in a position to succeed, which of these situations makes you feel more hopeful or concerned?